Injuries are part of any sport, right? But that doesn't mean we can't whine about them. They're like an unwelcome guest that you can't get rid of, and which takes its sweet time before it leaves. A guest has arrived for Zion Williamson as well, and now his entire team is having to deal with it. Let's see in this video how the Pelicans are coping with the impact of that injury. Starting off, the injuries. The New Orleans Pelicans are facing some major issues now that Williamson is injured. He's going to be out for a while now, 2 weeks at least, after which he's going to be scheduled for a reevaluation. And that's pretty bad for them, because they're already thin on primary scorers with Brandon Ingram already sitting out since November with his toe injury. As a fan of the team, we all know that the All-Stars hero has been a major part of the Pelicans' breakout 2022-23 season, and with him and Brandon both missing significant time, they're gonna have to dig deep to stay in the competition. In case you didn't know, since the turn of the year, the Pelicans have logged a 2-4 record, with 2 wins coming against teams with sub-500 records, and all that's mostly been thanks to the guy who's now sitting on the bench, all injured. He's provided the Pels with a go-to, high-volume, high-efficiency paint scorer. Right now, he leads the league in points in the paint at 19.1 per game, which is awesome, right? And because of that, naturally, the Pelicans rank 3rd in the league in PITP at 55.5 per game. His most recent setback came in after he missed the whole 2021-22 NBA season with his foot injury, which was also a huge blow to the team. He logged 61 games this season before that, and during his rookie season, played in just 24 games after suffering from a knee injury. So this ain't his first rodeo, apparently. Doesn't mean this is gonna do him any good. The man wants to play, and his fate isn't letting him. Next up, the outstanding performance. But when he does play and is on the floor, he's proven that he's more than worth the $193 million extension he signed in July last year. He's averaged 26 points per game and 60.8% from the field. That's massive. And even though he's 9th in the league in drives per game, he's 4th in the league in points per game off the drive. On 16.2 drives per game, he's averaging 12.5 points per game with 58.3% FG. His defensive rating of 111 is also the best of his short career so far, and averages 1.1 steals per game. We can see with this average that he's got a bright future ahead of him, but what we are looking forward to right now is when his injuries will finally go away and he'll play without any troubles. But when do we think he can come back? Well, recently, ESPN senior NBA insider Adrian Wojnarowski reported that after Williamson's injury, he underwent an MRI, which is going to be reevaluated in 3 weeks. That is, after the reevaluation, if he takes another week to ramp up his return. To tell the truth, we can see Zion in action as soon as the first week of February, but maybe that's not going to happen and we'll have to wait a bit more. Though without Brandon Williamson, the Pelicans don't have too scary a schedule in January. This is a good thing, considering they'd have struggled poorly had they gotten rivals worth their salt. Moving on, the savior. But despite Zion not being there, the team is afloat all thanks to CJ McCollum's heroics. After barely making it to the postseason last year, the New Orleans Pelicans are one of the best teams in the West this season. The return of Williamson has been a huge reason for the same. He averages a sensational 26 points, 7 rebounds, and 4.6 assists on 61% FG. And with stats like that, the former Duke Blue Devils has been making his presence felt for the team. Even though he's missed the entire 2021-2022 campaign, he's playing at an all-NBA level and was even ranked as high as number 6 in the MVP ladder. The franchise did take a blow when he was injured, but CJ McCollum has now been making his presence felt and is keeping NOLA afloat. To be honest, CJ was having a pretty remarkable season all along anyway. But since Ingram's and now Zion's absence, he has taken things up a notch. And why shouldn't he? His team needed him, and he's been stepping up to save them. Over the past 12 games, the 31-year-old has been playing at an all-star level, helping Willie Green's boys maintain their number 3 spot in the West. The 6'3" guard has been putting up an unbelievable 26.8 points, 6.3 assists, and 4.4 rebounds per game. Those are some very attractive stats, to be honest. Not close to the injured guy, but it's still terrific. Speaking of the moves, he's managed to display all the moves in his insanely deep arsenal, and has been shooting 51% from 3 FG and 62 TS. He's returned to form in a dominating fashion, with his stepbacks being unguardable, keeping the Pels afloat with Z and B. That's some flex. And CJ loves New Orleans too. He said, "It's been a blessing for me and my family." And having spent just about a decade with the Portland Trailblazers, CJ was traded to the Pels. And so far, New Orleans is more than content with what they've gotten out of McCollum. In a recent post-game interview, the former president of the NBPA also showed us his love for the city, his teammates, and the front office. He said it's been a great transition since he moved to New Orleans. The basketball side of it has been everything he thought it's been, and more. And the guys have all been great. Not just that, but the organization and the front office have also been fantastic. Everything they said they were gonna do, they've done it. So it's been a really happy relationship in terms of development, in terms of how I move around the locker room, how I move in the community, how I play, and how they've coached me, he said. They've also stayed on him and continued to try to get the best out of him. them. More on this. Wins again, which is honestly a credit to the organization and credit to Willie, because they could have given up for a while since the two champs are benched, but they didn't, and created a whole new star. It's been great to watch this team play ball this season, and it'll surely be great to see them fight for that #1 spot in the West. We just hope that Williamson comes back soon so we can see the full potential of this squad now that McCollum is also showing what a performer he is, because he's led Pelicans on the road to win over the Wizards. Remember the last time the New Orleans Pelicans beat the Washington Wizards in the nation's capital? Willie Green was wearing shorts. The franchise was called the Hornets then, and the player was a backup guard. On New Year's Day in 2011, he scored 5 points in 20 minutes in New Orleans' 11-point win, and then in the next game in Washington, they failed to win. Then later, they broke that streak when Williamson and Ingram entered the arena and beat the Wizards. CJ McCollum, who rested in Saturday's defeat to the Dallas Mavericks, returned from his one-game absence and scored 34 points. He was a badass and was responsible for 4 of his team's 9 three-point makes. There's also the drainage. In the first half, he and Valanciunas combined to score 42 points. Then their offensive production made sure that New Orleans got to an early double-digit deficit and took a 10-point lead during the break. McCollum is typically durable, but this time he asked for a night off against Dallas because he felt drained and said that helped him recharge for Monday, where he did a great job. He then went on to say that he needed that break really bad. We all know that he normally doesn't ask for time off, and he said he tried to push through it, but saw how he was moving and how he was feeling. That's when he felt like he needed to just go get a lift in and get a workout in. This way, he let the younger guys play, and he could also be fresher. The player continued to light up the Wizards' defense in the second half with the way he played, but the Pelicans put the game out of reach with him on the bench at the start of the fourth quarter. Lastly, gotta remain hopeful. The other younger players too had a great game. Marshall, who grew up in nearby Greenbelt, Maryland, had a strong homecoming game where he scored 18 points. And the way they'd been playing, Green was pretty happy. He said that they're extremely blessed and have an incredible group of guys with an incredible staff. They just continue to go to the gym and put the work in and hold each other accountable. So yeah, it's pretty great to see that carry over. The Pelicans improved their record this season to 8-11 with their road games, despite neither Williamson nor Ingram playing. Like we told you, Zion is going to have a reevaluation, and Ingram, according to Green, has yet to go through a full practice and is hopeful he'll practice during this road trip. Jonas Valanciunas has also been pretty amazing this season without the two stars playing, as he finished with a 27-point, 12-rebound performance. His low-cost presence helped New Orleans win the points in the paint battle 74-46. He then said that they have to be tough because it's a tough stretch of a season for them, and they're missing guys. And it's okay. Injuries happen all the time. He said he's not wishing that on anybody, but you have to manage when they happen and be ready when your name is going to be called. The Pelicans put their 2-game losing streak behind them to get to 1-1 on their 5-game road trip. That's it from our side for today. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you have any questions or thoughts about the Pelicans coping with the impact of Zion Williamson's injury, let us know in the comments below. See you in the next one.